Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Eric Edelmayer with the Noble Company. This is Dave Kennedy, the Director of Contractor Training. We're here today to talk about AquaBlue, which is our newest product. It is a ready-to-use liquid membrane based on synthetic resins. It contains no solvents, meets the ANSI standards 118.10 for thin-set load-bearing bonded waterproofing membranes. It is plumbing code listed for use as a shower pan liner. As always, substrates must conform to the Tile Council of America guidelines and the ANSI standards. The webinar here does not supersede our written directions, so always follow the written directions. With all that said, we're going to get started here. Our substrate on this particular application is going to be our Pro Base 2, also using our Freestyle Drain. Tell us about this, will you, Dave?
So our Freestyle thin bed drain is either ABS or PVC, as far as your plumbing code goes. It has a socket weld or glued fitting, so you just glue the 2-inch PVC pipe directly to the drain.
No Fernco fitting needed.
No Fernco fitting, no hub that could possibly leak later, correct. As you can see, it has a very low profile. There's only a 1/2 inch that'll stick above the substrate once you apply it. The other thing is that it has a clamping ring. We know in the business that a clamping ring is a very robust sealer.
Right.
Okay. Not only is it mechanically clamped, it's chemically clamped with a sealant. So there's no way that it's ever going to leak. Okay?
Right.
It has internal weeping.
So you're really not relying on simply a bead of sealant to keep the membrane.
That's correct.
Tight.
That's correct. Yep. So with the drain, and you mentioned our Pro Base 2 that we're using for a substrate, instead of a mortar, sand mortar mix, if we did a sand mortar mix, we'd have to wait for that to cure up properly before we could apply the AquaBlue. So instead we're going to be using our Pro Base 2 multi-slope pre-made base. It is a foam honeycomb composite. It has a 3-pound foam substrate, and it has a 1/4 inch of structural honeycomb applied to the top surface.
Right.
That gives it a 235 PSI compression strength.
Right. I mean, I've seen your ball drop test in the past. How much stronger is this product than some of the competition?
We're about 3 to 6 times stronger than our competition.
Is it? Wow, that's incredible.
So you can use 2x2 mosaics, penny rounds, stone pebbles, not have to worry about using epoxy mortars or epoxy grouts.
Right. You're not going to step on it and jamming it through the foam.
Correct. Very easy to install. Just can be installed to your substrate with modified thin set or our EXT glue.
Great. I mean, as far as the AquaBlue itself goes, is there any special tools or anything we need really different than standard tile bonding?
Just some basic tools to apply this with. So you'll need a caulk gun for your NobleSeal 250, maybe a roller pan and a tray for your primer, paintbrush, margin trowel, a trowel if you want to apply it with a trowel, and a screwdriver to apply your clamping ring.
So it's nothing too far out of the ordinary.
Nothing too far out of the ordinary at all.
Okay. Well, you got the base installed here. It's been bonded down with a latex modified thin set to the substrate. You've got the center seam basically seamed together essentially. We got cement board on the walls here. Any special preparation we need for dealing with a cement board?
So cement board is porous. So we're using the AquaBlue on a porous surface. You're going to want to use a 10% diluted prime coat to plug in all the little pores in that, so the primary coat's going to cover much better.
Right, that forces the air out.
It forces the air out. So just take a roller, and I'm just going to add a diluted prime coat.
Nice color.
Yes, nice and blue.
Goes on pretty nice. And you say this is diluted 10%?
10%, correct.
Okay. So you're not, at this point, you're really not gauging it on there. You're just basically making it blue.
Just make it blue. Just a nice even coat on there.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be real heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just kind of looking at you. Yeah, you can see that it really embeds well under the to the board.
It does.
And that was just a 3/8 inch nap roller.
3/8 inch nap roller, correct.
Yeah. Looks pretty fast and easy. I mean, I kind of like the color. I think,
Yeah.
Maybe for your grandson's bedroom.
That's all there is to it.
straight and easy.
Sure.
So now, okay, we've gone around this with the prime coat. How long we got to let this cure?
So basically about 30 minutes for the prime coat. You know, if you start on one end of your shower and get to the other, it's going to be pretty well cured out.
Right,
So you don't really have to wait too
a
long
normal
for
size
that.
shower, yeah, a little
Correct.
bit more wall
Correct.
space
Yep.
and everything else. So, you know, I mean, we look at, we're pretty much good to go there. As far as the seams in the board go.
So as you see, I have an 1/8 inch gap seam in the board. Now, if you have anything less than an 1/8 or less, you're going to need to treat the seam. Typically, you would treat the seam with modified thin set and a mesh tape. Well, then you have to let that cure up too before you can apply your membrane. In this case, I always use you see I have an 1/8 inch gap. I'll use our NobleSeal 250 moisture cured sealant.
For gaps less than 1/8 of an inch.
Gas less than 1/8 of an inch.
Okay.
And that way, you don't have to wait for that to cure up.
Right.
So you're just going to take the sealant. You're just going to add a bead into the gap.
Gun's nice. Yeah.
It guns very nicely. I'll just go around
And this is basically very low or no VOCs in the 250.
Correct.
So I just basically just filling the seam.
Filling the seam. Once I've done that, I'll just take paintbrush with AquaBlue on it.
You don't have to let it cure.
I don't have to let it cure. Being that it's moisture cured, it will start curing immediately.
So the AquaBlue is what's basically curing the NobleSeal 250.
It is.
I imagine that the NobleSeal 250 allows for an awful lot of expansion and contraction and movement.
It does.
You know, as far as the spread rate of the NobleSeal 250, what are you getting out of a tube typically?
You're getting about 40 linear feet per tube.
With the AquaBlue, if the joints are less than 1/8 of an inch, like a 32nd of an inch, there's no special requirements needed.
There's no special requirements needed.
Just go right with AquaBlue right over it.
You can go ahead with AquaBlue right over that.
Okay. Okay. Well, that was pretty easy. What about the change of planes here for the sealing or
so
for
the change of planes? It's the same thing. If you have less than 32nd of an inch, there's no need for 250. 1/8 of an inch. I like using 250 to fill in the change of plane, even though a mesh tape is required on the change of planes. And the reason I like the 250 in that corner is when you apply your AquaBlue into the corner with the mesh tape, it keeps the AquaBlue from falling down into the change of plane, and it takes longer for it to cure.
Right. I mean, I know a lot of liquid applied membranes. You really don't want to build up too thick or too much. That basically keeps you from having to try to fill the entire space there.
And as you can see, my change of plane on my base with the Pro Base 2, you like to leave a little gap in the Pro Base 2 to your substrate or to your wall substrate. So I'll put a bead of 250 sealant at that change of plane.
So right, even though the 250 is waterproof, it's just filling the gap in this case.
It's just filling in the gap so your AquaBlue is not falling down in between.
So, okay. And if it was larger than that, you could use backer rod or something like that. If you
had a large gap, you could use backer rod.
Okay. All right.
Now from there, I'll just put a coat of AquaBlue on my corner.
And again, no need to wait for it to cure.
No need to wait for it to cure. I'll put a piece of mesh tape, fold it in half.
Yeah, so you have those cut to size already.
I've cut to size already, correct. And then take my paintbrush and I'll just paint that right in.
Pretty straightforward.
It is.
Now, was this being done with the diluted coat still, or did you?
No, this is not diluted coat.
That was just that initial coat. Yep. So now you're going with a full strength. Yep. Okay. And obviously anything that's spilled, just spread it around here anyhow.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt a thing. That falls on the base.
Okay.
Okay, I've got the change of planes on my my wall substrate. Then
Yep.
I'll go ahead and I will then put coat on the base.
And again, if it was a tight joint, you wouldn't even need the tape.
Correct.
Now this Pro Base, I mean, how many sizes is that available in?
So the Pro Base comes in several different sizes. We have a 32 by 60 center drain, a 32 by 60 end drain, a 38 by 38 center, a 48 by 48 center,
Mm-hmm.
a 48 by 72 center, and a 72 by 48 center.
Okay. I mean,
It also comes in a pre-waterproof version too.
Oh, no kidding.
Mhm.
So then you don't need the AquaBlue, it's just ready to go.
It's ready to go. And you can use AquaBlue in conjunction with the pre-waterproof
Right.
version by just using a cap strip.
Okay. What can you tell me about the 72-hour program that's been recently introduced?
So our 72-hour program, if you go online to our website, noblecompany.com, and you just search for custom base, the form will come up for a custom base. And you can fill in the form, whether it's a square, rectangle, neo-angle, or a unique. And then fill that in, put all the parameters in it. They send that in to Noble Company. We will evaluate it, give you a price on that, and then within 72 hours, if we approve it, we will have the base shipped.
Wow. So totally custom 72 hours.
So it's custom 72 hours.
Okay. And are you doing that in the linear style as well?
Not at the present moment,
Okay.
but we're looking
Something
at
for
that.
the future.
Something
Yep.
for the future.
Okay. But you do have a Pro Base standard for a linear drain.
We do.
Yeah.
Yep. Made out of the same honeycomb and foam composite. We have a 3260 available in that, and a 64 by 64 available in that single slope. Yes.
We're getting a question.
You got a question?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The question was, is the membrane a crack isolation membrane? Right now we are marketing the product as a waterproofing membrane. Of course, there are certain crack bridging capabilities with it. There's additional testing for which level of performance, but for a standard waterproofing application, it'll definitely bridge those cracks or joints. Okay, we're just about done here. And I'd like to tell you that the stuff smells like blueberries, but really there's almost no odor to it whatsoever.
No. Okay. Just a couple more, and then we'll have the change of plane and the base complete.
Looking through some of the data on this, the AquaBlue itself is very environmentally friendly. It's a very green product, despite the color.
Yes, it is.
Now, in your curb there, that's one of the Noble Company solid foam curbs.
It is. Yep. So,
with that said, we're still going to waterproof the curb, however.
we are. We're going to waterproof the curb. And just a little FYI on the curbs come in several different lengths. We have 36 inch, 48 inch, 60 and 72 inch curbs.
And then of course you can just cut them down to whatever size you might need.
Size. And if you want them narrower, you can put them a table saw, narrow them up if you want. They are 4.5 inches wide.
Okay.
5.5 tall.
Yep, pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is looking like it's getting pretty close to being waterproofed here. I mean, the drain here. What finishes is that drain available in?
So the finishes in the drain will come in oil rub bronze, brushed nickel, golden nickel, chrome, and flat black.
Flat black. That's got to be one of your more popular colors.
It's beginning to be it.
Yep.
So we've got one other change of plane to worry about, and that is that the curb and the wall. So here again, I will just cut some mesh, but I've cut it so it will go around the curb and down into the. We have a question. If you don't dilute the first coat, the problem with that is on the cement board substrate, you'll notice after you put your primary coat on that you can see a lot of pits in there. It's much harder to fill that in without a diluted coat on a porous substrate.
Yeah, when it's not diluted, it doesn't really penetrate into the
No.
pockets of the board nearly as well as it being a little bit more viscous to penetrate deep into the air pockets of the board itself. So as you get into that first or second coat, it really eliminates or minimizes the amount of air bubbles or pockets that might be in the board. So it's just a definite major advantage to do it on a board that would be, not nearly as porous. It's not really required, but something like some of the cement and backer boards, it definitely makes a big difference.
It does. Yes.
Yes, it does. It does meet the, yeah. The question was, does it meet the ANSI 118.10 standard for thin set load bearing bonded waterproofing membranes? Yes, it would meet that standard. It is listed, like I mentioned earlier, as a shower pan liner. So yes, there's absolutely no issue with that at all.
Okay.
So you got that pretty well wrapped up. It's looking pretty watertight.
Yes.
Now, I think you're just about done with that. And we're not going to paint the curb, I imagine, top of the curb here, simply because you don't want to get it all over your hands and your shirt.
Correct.
Yeah, been there, done that, right?
Yes, I have. Yep.
So as far as the drain goes here in the base, I mean, you're going to put the diluted on the floor here? You say we don't need it on the floor?
You don't need the diluted on the floor, but your primary coat cannot just bridge onto the drain.
Okay.
You're in a clamping ring drain, and you've got the gap between the base and the drain. What you're going to want to use is our Noble Flex, or our Aquaseal drain flashing.
Right.
Basically, it's just a piece of our value seal, and it's cut for the size of the drain and the drain flashing.
Yep.
As you can see, I just drew a line around where the drain flashing is going to be. Yep. And just place that over that, and draw that line. And then before we put that on, I'm going to apply the Noble Seal 250 to make that chemical connection to the drain.
Right.
And also use the Noble Seal 250 to bond the drain flashing into the base.
Right. I mean, the drain's got to be the most critical area of the entire installation with, if it's installed right, all the water ends up there.
That's correct.
So, yeah,
See, I did a bead right there where the drain clamping ring is going to come in with the drain, and then a bead on the drain body itself, so the flashing can bond to the drain body.
Right.
And then I will use two pretty good sized beads on the base.
So kind of when it's all said and done, you'd like to see 100% coverage underneath it.
I'd like to see 100% coverage, correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, I mean, the particular Pro base here, you don't need the diluted coat on that because it's not porous.
It's not porous. Correct.
So you can just go straight with it.
My margin trowel. Okay. So I'll just take my margin trowel and I'll just kind of just make sure I bond it down just a little bit, hold it there until I got my clamping ring on.
Yep.
I'll take my clamping ring and screw.
Yeah, you can see. I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, but you can definitely see the coverage underneath there.
Coverage underneath, and then you can also see where the screw holes are. There.
Oh yeah.
So I'll just find that first screw hole.
The most dangerous part of the job is not dropping the screws down the drain.
That's correct. Okay. Identify the.
We got.
This video will be available for contractors online.
Yes, the video will be available for contractors online. Dave and I are proposing $99 per copy. No, not really. Yes, it will be available online after the webinar. Yes, correct. And there is a installation video already available on the AquaBlue on our website, which you can avoid seeing Dave and I doing this and just cut right straight to the chase.
So now that I've got the clamping ring on, I'm gonna just take a margin trowel and I'm just gonna tool in the 250 sealant.
Yeah, you can
Wanna
see
make
it's
sure that
really covering now.
Really covering correct.
Yep.
Gonna squeeze it out to the outer edge of the flashing.
I know with the valve, you see that it actually is one of the issues with is that you can see through it. It's translucent, so you can really see your coverage whether you're doing it with the 250 or whether you're doing it with a thin set. You know that you've basically got it bonded essentially 100%.
So you can see I'm gonna squeeze that out of the outer edge all the way around, make sure that I have 100% coverage, that there's no possibility that water can leach in underneath the flashing and to the drain.
Right.
Smooth that off nicely.
I mean the clamping ring just makes it so
Yeah.
so bulletproof almost at the drain area there.
It does. Yep. And then I'll just go ahead now.
Just pick up the excess.
Just spatula off the excess on there. That little bit of 250 on the base isn't gonna hurt a thing. The Aquaseal bonds.
Almost just feathers it
nicely
out
to
anyhow.
Yep.
So that looks like it's ready to go.
It is.
So now we're essentially ready for the
Right.
primary coat on the base
Yep.
there.
We're ready for the primary coat on the walls and the base. So we
Okay.
have
Let's see what
all
you
of
got
that.
going here.
So again, I'll just use the 3/8 snap roller. And I will roll a fairly heavy coat on there. You know, just kind of light pressure. Don't squeeze it in a lot.
Yeah. What kind of spread rate are you getting with the primary coat here?
We're getting approximately 50 square feet per gallon.
50 square feet per gallon?
Mhm.
Yeah, so you're just really trying to keep
Yeah.
it uniform. Now, what mill thickness are you putting this on?
Want to
Wet?
get about 20 to 25 mil on
Wet?
each wet.
On each coat?
Yep. That's at a 2-coat spread rate.
Okay. So it just rolls right on.
Rolls
It's
right
not
on,
it's not it's not too runny that it's splattering all over the place, running down the wall, but it's still thin enough that you can roll it.
Maybe hard to see, but with that prime coat, the primary coat has filled in all the pores.
Yeah.
Try not to get any on you, Eric.
I know. I'm trying to keep my arms away from you.
Don't look.
How does the clamping ring drain compare to a bonding flange drain was the question. You want to take that, Dave, or you want me to go for that one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously clamping ring drain says what it is. You're clamping the membrane in between the drain body and the clamping ring. And that gives you that bulletproof seal. Where a bonding flange drain, you're just going to lap your membrane onto the bonding flange, and you're going to rely on just the bonding flange.
Right. And of course,
Your
you know,
connection.
a standard bonding flange drain doesn't thread nearly as low as the Noble Company drain here that'll bottom out and accept a mosaic with, you know, a lot of the standard, a lot of the standard clamping ring drains, you know, when you bottom those out, you know, they'll go as low as 3/4 of an inch or something like that you then have to kind of divot into it. With this, there's, you know, really no need for the divot whatsoever.
Right. And with our drain that you're going to actually screw the strainer into it, if you decide say in the middle of your installation that you want to run your tile on a diagonal,
Right.
you don't have to reposition the drain body. You just turning the strainer.
Right.
Like a lot of bonding flange drains doesn't allow for that.
Right. Right. I know that what's the size of the head of the drain here?
The head of the drain, the strainer is 3 7/8 square. That allows you to use your standard mosaic, 2-inch mosaic tile. Take 4 of the tiles out, and it'll go around the strainer nicely without any extra cutting,
Right.
and just a nice little caulk line on that.
Well, as this is going on, you did say that it was supposed to be 20 to 25 mils wet. How do we measure the thickness of that? I mean, you're using a wet film gauge, but can you explain that?
So yeah, we have a wet film gauge that we use, and then we're just obviously just dip that wet film gauge on there and take a look at that, and you can see that you're going to get the proper coverage on the bottom of that film gauge.
Right. Oh yeah. Okay.
Can you point from the top view where the leaf holes are,
Yeah. The question was, is the weep holes in this particular drain? I can try to reach over. I don't know what.
Here, we can hand you a drain if you'd like to.
Yeah.
Here,
Right. I don't know whether this shows up or not. In the threads of the drain itself.
Here.
Otherwise,
Here,
this will work.
take that and put that up towards the
Up
camera.
towards the camera
Yep.
here. I don't know if you can see in here, the threads are missing in a spot so that when the strainer is threaded in, so when the strainer's threaded in, the spots there and there remain open for water to basically bypass the threads. Of course, this is a listed drain. It does carry the Uniform Plumbing Code listing. The weep holes are actually specified by IAPMO for a particular size and amount of drainage or flow. So the thread option here for weep holes does meet the requirement for a weep hole in the drain for both IAPMO and ICC.
Just finalizing the curb.
Now you're going to get it on you.
Now I'm not going to do the outside of the curb for this, but you're going to want to go ahead and waterproof the outside of the curb too.
Right.
I'm just making sure that it's nice and even.
Now you said that the base here was at 235 psi. So you're from a load standpoint, or if you were actually standing on top of the base while you're doing the walls, you're not going to be falling through it. Your boots aren't going to imprint through it.
Correct.
The electrician puts a ladder on it. You're not going to fall through to the next floor.
Yeah, you're not going to have that issue.
Okay.
Like a lot of the other bases out there, if you dent that before you put your waterproofing on there, you can never get rid of that little bird bath in there.
So the strength of this base really is important.
It is.
Okay. So you got this thing totally painted now, and I still like the color. A little bit of a texture to it, which I like. I'm sure the thin set bonds it very well. How long are we waiting now for our next coat?
So your next coat, you typically wait about 4 hours.
4 hours between coats?
Yeah, if you could take a fan, you can speed it up a little bit, but typically around 4 hours.
Okay. Well, if we got time, if we got a couple hours to kill, we could either go fishing, go have lunch, take a nap.
Yeah.
One of the above.
Nap doesn't sound too bad for an old guy like me.
Okay. Let this set up, and we'll jump in on it.
We'll be back.
Back. I'm
Oh
full.
man, I tell you.
Yeah. You take a nap?
I woke up.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I went an 8. I went an 8. Anyhow, we're back. This thing is now dry to the touch. You can see it's like magic. So we're ready to go with the next coat now, I imagine. We don't need to reprime it or anything like that. We're just gonna basically put on another coat.
The last coat's fairly simple. I will first of all just take my paintbrush. I will hit my change of planes. Make sure that I have.
Just make sure you got it in there.
The proper coverage in my change planes.
Yep. Just spreading it in there just like you would paint.
Yep. Don't be shy with it. Okay, now I'll hit the change planes on the base.
Right. It really is a nice color, though.
It is.
Now,
a little blue today.
We're just using a standard latex modified thin set to bond the tile on this once it's all cured up.
That's correct. Yep.
What's the cleanup procedure for this? I mean, obviously not when it's dry. I'm sure that's a different story altogether.
Yeah, when it's dry, that's.
But off your hands or your tools or anything else.
Water is fine. Product called Tubba Towels works real well too.
For wiping it off while it's still wet.
While it's still wet, you can clean your rollers and brushes off with straight water.
Right.
Good, maybe soapy water helps, just like you would with paint.
Even though I like the color, it's not intended to be a wear surface.
That's correct.
Right. So we need some sort of hard surface flooring over the top of it.
I'll finish my 2 curve changes of plane.
Now the working temperature on this is somewhere between 40 and 95 is the ideal working temperature.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
You don't
So
want
it's
to let it
pretty
freeze.
broad range.
Pretty yeah, broad range. As far as storage too, you don't want to let it freeze.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
The shelf life of the product is the question. The shelf life for the product unopened is 2 years. Of course, once it is opened, you can reseal it, but you got to be a little careful with it, obviously, to keep the air up. But the unopened 2-year shelf life.
So now that I have my change of planes done, I'll just go ahead and I'll put my second coat on.
Okay, that's it.
All right. Now, as you notice, I'm putting the second coat on in the opposite direction that I put the first coat on. It just helps to assure even coverage.
Make sure you got it in there.
Yep.
And again, it looks like you're just using relatively light pressure.
I'm not squeezing it out too tight.
Probably like paint if you're not careful, you can go till tomorrow on a gallon.
Yep, exactly. Again, you still want that 20 to 25 mil coverage on the second coat.
Right. So once this is all dried, what kind of a dry thickness are we looking for?
We're looking for 30 to 40 mil dry thickness.
30, 40 mil dry?
Yep.
So, roughly the thickness of a credit card, more or less.
Yeah.
Now I know the camera can't see it here, but we'll cover later. But the container for this product is a little bit unique.
It is. The container's rectangular, so I can dip my 9-inch roller right into the container.
Yeah.
And not have to worry
Yeah.
about pouring it into a separate tray. And it's thick enough where it just, as you know, it just stays right on the roller after I dip it in. It doesn't splatter all over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed you don't have it all over yet.
No, not yet.
Yeah. And I'm staying far enough away. Well, this is looking pretty good, Dave. And like I said, I'm sure in a bigger area where you're, not wearing your best shirt, you could probably get this done pretty quick.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention too, if you wanted to use a flat trowel or a V-notch trowel with a flat side on the other side of it, you can trowel it on and then knock it down. So there's a couple different ways of applying this.
Right.
Question is, do you have to get right to the edge of the drain flashing?
No. Yeah. So the question was, do you have to get right to the edge of the drain flashing? No, you do not. As you can see, I have a little gap around. You want to at least have a 2-inch overlap on your drain flashing.
Right. But if it did overlap even further than what's that now and made contact with the
Make contact.
strainer, that wouldn't hurt anything either.
Wouldn't hurt a thing.
Right. Because really the integrity there is really the Aquaseal drain flashing.
Yep. I've got more than 2-inch overlap on that, but the minimum is a 2-inch.
Okay.
All right, just double checking my coverage here, make sure it's nice and even, no big globs on it.
It's looking pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
So now we, look for, visually any bubbles or air pockets, and if there is, which,
If there is, I see a little one over here. If you, final inspection, just make sure that you touch that.
Touch it up and
pocket in there. Yep.
Yep,
and
make sure it's
filled
good.
in.
Visually, it's looking pretty good. I'm sitting here looking at it. I'm not seeing anything else. It looks like it covered pretty well.
Mhm.
Flood test. I mean, obviously a flood test is recommended. How long do I got to wait?
So you're going to want to let this cure up for 24 hours.
Okay.
Again, if you put a fan on it, you speed it up. But cure for 24 hours, and then you're going to want to do an overnight flood test.
Okay. Flood test. Okay.
The question was, is the second coat the same as the first coat, or is the second coat just a light?
So the second coat is the same as the first coat. You want to try to get that 20 to 25 mil on each coat.
So if it's a porous substrate, we're going to basically go with the 10% diluted.
That's
If it's
correct.
not porous, I can skip that step.
That's correct.
But then the next 2 layers essentially should both be 20 to 25 mils wet.
wet.
with approximately 4-hour cure time in between.
Yep. So you
And
can get that 30 to 40 mil dry thickness.
Okay. All right. I mean, this looks really good to me. A question that I have for the is the Noble Company is obviously known for their sheet membranes.
Mhm.
If I want to use AquaBlue on the wall and a Noble Company sheet on the floor, can I do that?
Sure. Step up here. So if you use it with the Aquaseal or the TS membrane, what we require is that you're going to have to use the flashing mesh on that with the NobleSeal 250, as you can see in the video here.
Now look at you go.
So it bridges over the top of the TS or
Right.
Aquaseal.
Yep. So you're really handling it almost like a seam or whatever.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Warranties?
Warranties. So the AquaBlue is going to pick up the warranty of the membrane. So our Aquaseal has a 10-year warranty. You'll get a 10-year warranty with the AquaBlue.
And with TS?
TS, it'll pick up a lifetime warranty with the TS by using it on the walls, but the TS must be upturned 2 inches above the deck or the curb or the dam.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. We talked a little bit about the packaging here. Let's see what you got over here, Dave.
So the AquaBlue then will come in a 1.65 gallon. It'll also come in a 3.3 gallon pail.
Right.
Okay? As you notice, we talked about it's rectangle.
Yep.
So the roller can dip into it without having to pour it into a separate container.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Here, you hang on.
Here, do something.
Okay. All right.
And that's your small container.
Rectangle. That's a small container.
Okay, but the roller head still fits right in
The roller head still fits in there.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
So.
And then the spread rate, we talked about that at being 50 square feet. What
50
else?
square
What
feet
other
per gallon.
accessories you got here?
So the other accessories we have for the AquaBlue is we talked about before is the NobleSeal 250 sealant.
Right.
Okay. That 250 sealant is a moisture cured, so you can immediately apply the AquaBlue onto your seams and you change your planes with it. Also, with the 250 sealant can be used in our thin line corners, inside and outside corners for our sheet membrane too.
Right.
And if you use that to do all your seam sealing and your inside corners, you can flood test immediately with that on our sheet membrane.
10.3 ounce tubes.
10.3 ounce tubes, yep, and a 5 ounce tube.
Oh, and a 5 ounce.
And a 5 ounce tube.
So there you go.
Correct.
Okay.
We have the Aquaseal tape flashing. That comes in a 4-inch and 4-inch wide and 180 feet long.
More than enough for a shower.
More than enough for a shower.
Okay.
And then our Aquaseal drain flashing that you saw in the installation there.
Yep.
That will go be used with our Freestyle thin bed drain.
Okay.
Question is, can accessories be used in the shower with AquaBlue, like niches and so forth?
Okay, I'll repeat the question. The question is can niches and benches also be used with AquaBlue?
Yes, it can, just like our sheet membrane. So our benches and our corner niches are applied after the waterproofing membrane is installed with modified thin set. The same with AquaBlue.
So
go ahead and apply it with modified thin set just before you tile.
But you don't actually have to waterproof that with the AquaBlue. The niche and the bench are already waterproof.
That's correct.
But you would bond it over the top of.
They're already waterproof. It's already in that waterproof envelope.
Okay. All right. Another question?
Where can I get thickness gauge? And just say we can provide one for all the attendees.
Right. Yep. The question is the wet film gauges, where are they available? The Noble Company does have wet film gauges available. Anybody that would like one will make it available to you. So I don't know whether we need to contact or but we'll get those out to you if anybody needs one. I think that pretty much wraps it up. I don't know if you have anything else you want to point out about the drain. You covered the finishes that are available.
I covered the height of the drain. You can see that the low profile of the strainer. I've covered the Pro Base 2 multi-slope.
Yep, ABS and PVC.
ABS, PVC,
okay.
Correct.
I think that pretty much wraps up the overall presentation here. Again, we've talked about we want 2 layers of 20-25 mils wet. The cured thickness should be approximately 30 to 40 mils dry. The spread rate is approximately 50 square feet per gallon. The product is listed for use as a shower pan liner. It's extremely low VOCs. Sounds good to me. I don't think I've missed anything. You know, this has been fun, Dave. I mean, this is our second one of these that we've done.
It is.
You know,
Mhm.
it's getting good. I think we're gonna have to get us a trailer or something like that
Yeah,
out back.
An entourage.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, the entourage. That'd be nice.
I don't know if we're up for the Emmys
yeah,
yet.
yeah,
but-
yeah. So we are going to do another webinar. What do you want to do next?
Oh, walk over here. So our next webinar is going to be a curbless shower installation with our ProBase 2 multi-slope pre-waterproof base with our Freestyle thin bed drain. So we'll be going through some scenarios on how to do the framing in a wood frame substrate to depress the
Yep.
the base and then build up to the dry space.
So the next
Yeah,
webinar
so
will
it's
be
a nice
it'll be
even
it'll be
transition.
it'll be a ProBase 2 installation set lower using essentially the same drain.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think that pretty much wraps up most of the webinar here. I know that we talked about giving away some material. I say we'll draw a name here out of the bucket of people that have signed up for this. Not a lot of shaking in here.
I will.
Oh yeah, the question is, what are we giving away? We are giving away some Aquaseal. Now you got me saying it. Some AquaBlue pails. I believe we're giving away 4 3.3 gallon pails of the AquaBlue, and the winner goes to
Niall Woodford.
Niall Watford
Watford.
from Nice Tile in Youngsville, North Carolina. Congratulations, Niall. That really wraps it up. I thank everybody for spending a half hour, 45 minutes here with us. Please reach out to us if we can do anything for you. Dave is available anytime that you need some help. So please give us a call or check us out.
Thank you, everybody.